Alright, what is up YouTube? And today we got the second home workout, the second installment of the bro split from home using the home gym. And I'm just going to be walking you guys through what I do to hit hamstrings, which is my second day. On the bro split, I go chest, hamstrings, shoulders and upper chest. Then on Thursday we got like a quad focused leg workout, so quads and glutes Thursday, arms Friday, and back Saturday. So, usually what I do when I go to the gym and I have hamstrings, if I'm preparing for powerlifting, I do deadlifts, RDLs, and hamstring curls, and I do some back extensions. We don't have anything to do back extensions today, so I'm just going to do that on Thursday instead. So today is going to be a hamstring focus. Since I am off season right now and I'm kind of in a recovery period, letting all the micro fractures in my spine from all that powerlifting recover and finally heal, that means I'm only doing one deadlift or squat once a week. So I'm doing squat every other week and deadlift every other week, alternating the two. So since I'm not doing any heavy back squatting this week, I'm going to be deadlifting on Thursday. I am instead going to be Zercher squatting lightweight after some good mornings. So I did my 10 minutes of walking. That is my warm-up cardio. My hamstrings are nice and loose right now. We are going to do a slow pyramid up to some heavy, not heavy, but challenging sets of 6 with good mornings right here. And we are going to do Zercher good mornings today instead of, back good mornings where the bar rests on the back. Instead, we are going to be hooking the bar with our arms like this. And the reason for that is because I find that when the bar is on my back and I'm trying to do good mornings is kind of a sus lift because it's basically just where you bend over like this. So when I'm doing this, I'm having to use a lot of my bandwidth on my brain to keep the bar from sliding forward onto my neck like this. So I'm already compromising some of my muscular focus by trying to keep it from sliding forward. So I'm embracing my arms. I'm using my arms more than I should be in an equation that's just to isolate my hamstrings and my brain. So my mind-muscle connection isn't as much on the hinging of my hips right now. More of my mind is focused on not letting that bar slide forward. Now, some of these problems can be offset by using lighter weight on your good mornings, but you have to do a lot of good mornings, like 8 to 12 at lightweight to really feel something, or at least in my experience, that's how it's been for me. And trust me, you do not want to be bending over for 4 sets at 8 to 12. That is way too many of such a kind of isolating movement. It is good to bulletproof your posterior chain, and that's what hamstrings are all about. If I just cared about hypertrophying my hamstrings, I would do none of this and just sit at a hamstring curl machine all day long and just go like all day just pumping my legs. But we're actually doing this to bulletproof our posterior chain, so we're getting some hypertrophy, we're getting some strength, but we're also performing functional fitness movements that will carry over to our activities of daily living and improve longevity and make us just more of a strong, unbendable body. So, when I do Zercher, yes, it puts a lot of strain on my elbows, and it's honestly more hard on my forearms and biceps. You would think that since this is kind of in a curl position, that it would be a lot harder on your biceps, but the metal bar rests on your forearms, and that hurts a lot more than your biceps do being in kind of a flexed position right here. So I just kind of cradle it like this and bend as far forward, down nice and controlled. My hamstrings are feeling that stretch. The nice thing about hitting hamstrings, at least when you're doing compound movements, it's different when you're doing isolative machine movements, like a hamstring curl machine. But when you're doing something like this, the stretch for your hamstring on the eccentric is going to feel very similar to a hamstring stretch. So it'll feel similar to something like this. It will feel similar to the toe touch stretch like this, and maybe like the wall reach stretch. All of those various hamstring stretches, you will feel a similar thing in your hamstrings as you will to those stretches when you're doing something like a good morning or an RDL. That's how you know that you've loaded the hamstring properly, and then you pop back up. Alright, I adjusted the camera angle so you can see my legs a little more, since this is kind of more of a leg focused video. You can also see all my freaking mosquito bites I got, because I've just been attacked every time I step outside. So we got 95 pounds, 225s on the bar, and yep, looks like a good angle. And this is going to be my first working set. I'm going to go for about six reps, 6 solid reps, slow on the way down, pop back on the way up. You can I'm kind of exposed for how long my spine is doing these. You can see how I have a hard time keeping it straight in posterior chain workouts just because it's very long, and that's a lot to keep straight. Alright, I was editing this video in Filmora, and I only then heard that like popping, clicking noise. That is not my bone or any joints. It's actually like this opening I have on the bottom of my shoes, and I believe that when I come back up, like when I spring up, it like releases some pressure from that bubble and it like escapes out. It's like a little popping noise. Alright, kind of got lost in the reps there. But we're just going to keep pyramiding up until we get to a plate. And then I'm going to do 1 set of a plate and then go into my zerchers. I'm going to do 3 sets of zercher squats. And then move over to a unilateral deadlift. I know I said I wasn't going to be deadlifting today, but what I mean by that is I am going to be taking, alternating heavy squatting and heavy deadlifting every week. But I will do deadlift and squat-like motions. So to strengthen the same muscles used in the squatting chain of movement, I will do a zercher squat, but it's not heavy. It's not creating microfractures in my spine. Same with the unilateral deadlift. It's much lighter weight, and it's spreading all of that weight, all that force across 2 legs like this, improving upon my balance and training muscles equally. So it'll strengthen both of my sides. I'll do like 1 set like this, wait a little bit, and then like this. I'll treat it as 1 set. It's not like rows where this side and this side are both 1 set. I'll give them their own set, and I'll only do 2 sets each side, 1 of a lighter weight, 1 slightly heavier. We're just loading the hamstrings and posterior chain. We're essentially just strengthening and building upon our hamstrings by loading weight onto our posterior chain from a few different angles, from a few different entry points. So, we're going to go up to 105? No, 115. We're going to throw some 10s on each side. So 35 on each side. And we're going to rep this puppy out for 6. So I'm going to put you on game real quick. If you have kind of a long, flexible whip-like spine, similar to me, unlike people who have sturdy trunk spines. These are a lot of the people you'll see doing a lot of weight on deadlifts, squats. Many sprinters and long distance runners will have shorter compound spines, while you'll see a lot of benchers, swimmers, gymnasts, and climbers have a long, flexible, whip-like spine. And you can pander to the flexibility of having a long spine. People who have long spines usually don't hurt themselves much doing crunches like people that have short spines do. Now, you can pander to your strengths and pigeonhole things like swimming, benching, gymnastics, pull-ups, all that stuff. All those things that having a long spine really helps out. And then when you get to things like deadlifting, picking up really heavy objects, and squatting, there's a lot of things that'll be difficult for you to do with a long spine. So what I like to do is I like to strengthen all of my whole back, so that when I'm doing things like these good mornings, I have stability across my whole back. And it's not perfect yet. You can see a lot of give in my back, and a little bit's okay, especially when you're not doing maximal weight all the time. A little bit's okay, because sometimes, because your spine does bend, and you have spinal erectors to control the stiffening, the straightening of your back. But you don't want to look like a cat stretching when you're doing stuff like this, is basically what I'm trying to say. So I do things like back extensions for my lower back, shoulder girdle things like face pulls, delt flies, dumbbell pullovers to strengthen my shoulder girdle and upper back, and things like side planks and unilateral movements, which we'll get to some of those in this video, and heavy resistance front ab training to kind of strengthen this whole belt of muscle that is kind of responsible for the lower half of your torso in movements like this. Obviously, you got your lat traps and like rear delts for your upper body, but the middle to lower is just as important. So basically, you want to strengthen every part in your posterior chain. You either got to go completely pandering to your long spine to kind of your build, or you strengthen your build and make it more equipped for every situation. It's kind of a one or the other type of thing, because you don't want to have a really long, weak back and then go for a heavy lift of something and then, you know, pull a muscle, herniate a disc, and just be screwed right there on the spot. So our goal is to kind of put our due diligence in right now in strengthening our whole posterior chain so that doesn't happen, and that we can just be generally strong and as good looking as possible for life. So that was our last set of the good mornings. Now we're gonna go into some sumo zercher squats. We're gonna assume a sumo stance, not a crazy radical sumo stance, but just wide enough so that we can let our elbows dip down in between our knees, not being obstructed by our knees, so that we can get better depth. That went pretty smoothly, So I'm thinking we'll go up to 155. So adding a 10 on each side, I'll probably try to top out at 185, and then we'll move on to our unilateral deadlifts. I think I'm going to keep it right there just because, like I mentioned earlier, I don't want to load up my spine too much. This is not to be a big compressing workout. I just want to still train the same movement pattern that squatting is. That's why we're doing lighter Zercher squats. And Zercher squats will engage the hammies a little more than a traditional high bar back squat will. Always remember to warm up and open up your hips before every squatting and honestly every deadlifting movement. I made the mistake of forgetting that before doing the Zerchers because I always progress from good mornings into Zerchers. I do this a lot and my hamstrings are always warmed up, but my hips are not for that opening movement. They bend, but they're not like used to opening. So after the first set of Zerchers, my groin and hips are always extremely tight. Do not make the same mistake I did. Warm up your hips, do like some waddles on the ground, like some depth walks, I think these are called. Leg swings, the hip openers, hip closers. I do this all the time when I'm warming up for squatting or heavy deadlifting, but I neglected to do it today. So don't do that. Take care of your hips. They're the shoulders of your lower body. And like your shoulders, if you mess them up, you're gonna be suffering through a lot of athletic avenues for a while. So just remember that. Take care of your hips. You know, you want to take care of your knees too. Your cartilage doesn't repair like muscles do, but at the same time, you only have to worry about one real plane of motion with your knees. Your hips do it all, like your hips go all over the place. So if you mess them up, movement is going to be extremely difficult for you. Especially at higher levels of the injury. So just remember that. Take care of your hips, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do my final set of the Zercher squats, and then we're going to do the unilateral deadlifts. Let's see. Those felt different. That's my second week doing that because I alternate not squatting on Thursday every other week. So that means I am Zercher squatting on the Tuesdays every other week in between those. So not quite used to them. Still a newer movement for me, but it's good. All right, had to find a new angle for this exercise. So basically, we're going to be getting into position as if we were doing a normal conventional deadlift. Move this forward just a wee bit. So, feet about shoulder width, a little more narrow. if you're a wider shoulder fella, and then just simply drag one of your feet back to about the front of your heel or the back of your heel. Don't go too far past your heel. Some people might want to keep it the front of their toes aligned with the front of their heel, right in between their arch, for those who have arches on their feet, and their heel. I, for one today, will probably just go a little bit more back, a little further back. Then grab the same area you would for a conventional deadlift. Make sure your back and your hips are as square as they can be in this unilateral stance, and up. My rule of thumb is that whatever foot is back, I cannot bring its heel off the ground. So that is pretty much the main factor in where I place that back foot. It cannot have its heel coming off the ground. And just like that. Performing the deadlift the same manner I would if it was conventional. It is simply just in a unilateral stagger, almost like a wide receiver stance, but my legs are a little closer together than that. Keep in mind once again that this is not the craziest workout for hypertrophic hamstring gains. This is what I do to mix a blend of bodybuilding that I can maintain longevity for and powerlifting that I can maintain longevity for. Two passions of mine. And functional fitness, balance, and overall posterior chain and muscular anatomy health over a long period of time. When I go long periods of training for something like bodybuilding or powerlifting, I can get a lot accomplished, but a lot slips through the cracks. And I have to take times like this to run maintenance work on my whole body, making sure that I'm not getting any imbalances here and there, that I'm stretching enough and taking care of my shoulders and hips, overall mobility, stuff like that. This is more of a hybrid athletic workout that can carry over to powerlifting, bodybuilding, explosiveness, and just general health. Make no mistake, you can certainly make hypertrophic gains, and I will probably see a lot of hypertrophic gains just from the good mornings alone using this hamstring routine. But this just isn't like the beefcake, stacking as much mass as possible workout that you see a lot of bodybuilders who are on the sauce or just focusing only for bodybuilding as natural lift are doing. So this is what I talk about when I say engaging my sides of my trunk, whether it's the sides of my back, the sides of my obliques, which are the sides of your abs, and the different parts of your glutes and hips by doing unilateral movement. Because you aren't in a squared stance, you're in a split stance, you are recruiting different muscles on each sides to maintain balance, which is going to equal better overall balance, which overcomes muscular imbalances like having a stronger left or right side. By training unilaterally, both sides have to engage independently to maintain balance, to keep you from falling from one side or the other. This one will go for maybe 4 reps only. I think 4 is good. Okay, so that's 5 total working sets for hamstrings in particular. Then we did 3 for our quads and glutes with the Zercher squats. So I'm going to do 1 set of single leg RDLs, and then I'm going to do 2 sets of side planks each side and 2 sets of band around the leg spreads, like basically a glute spread with resistance bands. So that'll be how I'm wrapping up my workout. That's 6 total working sets for hamstrings. Well, I mean, I did 4 sets of unilateral deadlifts, right? Total, but you know, it was 2 each side. So I count those as 2, not 4, even though I spaced them out as if they were 4 working sets. Alright, so I couldn't find my resistance bands, or I should say my ankle bands. It is very likely that my cat consumed them. So we're just going to go straight into our side planks, a minute each side. And it's just as well because this workout was running kind of long anyway. Or not running long, we've reached the full amount of time it would normally be on a given hamstring day. For me, minus all of the camera breaks in between. And I will just do the glute spreads on my actual glute day, which is going to be Thursday. This week, my Thursday will be comprised of some sprinting, so that's hamstring stimulation right there, and running the hill, as seen in my first video on this channel that was a workout vlog. And then I will do deadlifts, back extensions, and glute spreads, and that will be my Thursday workout this week. But that's probably not going to be what my Thursday vlog looks like on this channel, because by then, you know, it could be a squat or a deadlift week, I'm not sure. Alright, we're going to bring it back to the other side now. This is just strengthening the side of your trunk. So we're enforcing overall trunk stability right here. We're going a minute each side. And we're going to do this twice. Y'all pulled up on me, I would have seen y'all niggas Alright, that's about all we got for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I hope that you are ready, excited, and amped to crush your next workout. So I love you guys. God bless you. Peace out, and I will see y'all next time.